Captured on camera, the IRGC stages massive missile parades rolling through Iran's streets, showcasing raw military might to the world. Did Trump extend the truce indefinitely after witnessing this awe-inspiring Iranian missile parade on live feeds? Mojtaba flaunts Iran's deadliest missiles like Ghadr and Khorramshahr after revealing vast underground cities brimming with arsenal. Huge crowds erupt in cheers across Iran as the fearsome Ghadr and Khorramshahr missiles thunder through city streets in defiance. Iran remains utterly undeterred by 1 month of brutal war or the US blockade choking Hormuz, standing tall and ready. Amid the street missile show, IRGC vows to empower the people to choose exact targets for their righteous revenge. Hours before the United States announced the extension of the ceasefire, Iran visibly ramped up its show of military strength, holding orchestrated public events to signal resolve. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps on April 21 staged public displays of ballistic missiles in several Iranian cities, underscoring the country's emphasis on its missile arsenal amid the ongoing war. The parades took place in Tehran, Kerman, and Arak just hours before President Trump revealed that he was extending the truce, timing the events to coincide with a key diplomatic turn. Iran International reported on April 21 that the missile displays were held against the backdrop of a stalemate in indirect talks, framing them as a political statement as much as a military one. Videos shared by Iranian state media showed ballistic missiles being paraded through residential and urban areas, giving the impression that the hardware is deeply embedded in everyday life. Large crowds were seen waving Iranian flags and chanting anti-US and anti-Israel slogans, reflecting both state-organized mobilization and genuine public anger toward the Western powers. The crowds also chanted slogans praising Iran's military establishment and calling for strikes against Israel, signaling that domestic sentiment remains firmly behind an assertive posture. Hezbollah flags were visible at several locations during the rallies, underlining the ideological and operational alignment between Iran and its regional proxy network. At the Tehran rally, the Ghadr ballistic missile was prominently displayed in a central square, drawing attention to one of Iran's key long-range systems. In another part of Tehran, the Khorramshahr 4 ballistic missile was also put on display, with state media using the imagery to project reach and deterrence. An image attached to one of the displayed missiles reportedly identified a potential target as Ras Gas, a liquefied natural gas firm in Qatar, suggesting that Gulf energy infrastructure is on Iran's hit list. These displays form part of a broader pattern of regular, ongoing pro-government rallies that have been held across Iran since the war began on February 28. Iran released a video on April 19 showing underground missile and drone launchers, signaling that its strategic weapons infrastructure remains active despite weeks of war. The IRGC-linked video portrayed ongoing overhaul and reconstruction work on Iran's missile and drone stockpiles, suggesting Tehran is trying to showcase recovery and resilience during the ceasefire. IRGC Aerospace Force Commander Saeed Majid Mousavi said the replenishment of arms had been accelerated, according to reporting cited by Iranian outlets. Mousavi said the pace of replenishing weapons increased during the ceasefire period, indicating that Iran used the pause to restore parts of its arsenal. His remarks were reported by WANA and Press TV just ahead of the expected expiry of the ceasefire window. Saeed Majid Mousavi said, and I quote, "Iran's speed in updating and reloading missile and drone launchers have surpassed even its pre-war pace. We are aware that the enemy is incapable of creating such conditions for themselves during the ceasefire. Since the ceasefire began on April 11th, the United States has had to bring in ammunition from the other side of the world in a trickle. They have lost this phase of the war as well. They have lost the Strait, they have lost Lebanon, and they have lost the entire region." Unquote. Mousavi's claims came after US media reports argued that Iran still retained the ability to sustain its missile capability despite the conflict. The Wall Street Journal, citing US intelligence assessments, reported that Iran still has thousands of ballistic missiles in reserve. Those missiles could reportedly be pulled out of hiding or retrieved from underground sites, reinforcing concerns that Iran's strike capacity was not eliminated. US President Donald Trump announced on April 21 that the current ceasefire with Iran would be extended, altering the timeline for the temporary pause in hostilities. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump said that attacks will be held off until Iran puts forward a formal proposal, tying the extension to the prospect of a new diplomatic offer. The truce, which had been set to expire on April 22, was extended at the request of Pakistani mediators, as Trump stated, reflecting their continued role as a back-channel broker. Hours earlier, Trump had publicly expressed that he was not in favor of prolonging the ceasefire, according to Al Jazeera coverage of his on-the-record remarks, underscoring the last-minute nature of the reversal. On X, Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also expressed gratitude to Trump for extending the ceasefire, welcoming the decision as a chance to preserve the diplomatic window. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and, in all other respects, remain ready and able. And will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted, and discussions are concluded, one way or the other." Iranian leadership did not immediately respond to Trump's announcement of the ceasefire extension, leaving the level of Tehran's engagement unclear in the first hours after the move. However, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps issued a warning that it would respond immediately with force if the United States launches any new attacks, maintaining a posture of high alert. Ibrahim Zolfagari said, and I quote, "Our capable and powerful forces have been in a state of 100% readiness and with their fingers on the trigger for a long time. So that in the event of any aggression or action against Islamic Iran, they will immediately launch a powerful attack on predetermined targets. And teach the aggressive America and the child-killing Israeli regime another lesson, more severe than before." Meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury Secretary has stated that the United States will continue its maximum pressure campaign targeting Iran's financial and energy sectors. The campaign is designed to systematically degrade Iran's ability to generate revenue, move funds through international channels, and repatriate money into its domestic economy. Trump's about-face on the ceasefire came after Iranian officials strongly condemned the U.S. naval blockade on Tehran's ports, which they have described as a major escalation. Before Trump's announcement, Iran's foreign minister had called the blockade an act of war, signaling that Tehran does not view it as a legal or limited enforcement measure. With the maritime siege on Iranian ports persisting, analysts say it remains unclear whether the ceasefire extension will be enough to bring Iran back to the negotiating table or if it will instead harden Tehran's resistance.